Sunday morning cold, eyes on the score, touchdown dance ball, craving for more. Friends are calling, trades are on fire. Rookies falling, championship desire. Fantasy football fever, chasing the dream. Top of the leaderboard, we're the winning team.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Healers Program, a show that is Dynasty Fantasy Football, and we're in rookie season, Colton. Welcome in, everybody. We are also now infused by the Fantasy Holics. That's fantasyholics.com. You can find them at fantasyholics1 on Twitter X. You can find me at FF Healers and Colton at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. And welcome in, Mr. Colton Palmer.
How's it going, guys? And our friends at Fantasy Holics were happy enough to point out that one of the fantasy football healers is slacking on their tweets, and that 50% is me. Dustin was tweeting out some really good stuff during the combine. He was doing a great job covering everything, all the players we were hyped about and looking at. And I was at home, probably chasing an 4-year-old around in his underwear. So
I was at the Underwear Olympics, and you were chasing around literal kids in underwear.
yeah, I mean, we were both watching people run in underwear. I mean, how different is it?
Not much, Colton.
Not much.
Not much. Did you actually have a timer though to see how fast your son was running?
I did not. I didn't time him. It's more of a countdown then he runs, and you just have to do that every time he runs back and forth between the walls. So I bet it's pretty fast.
So, Colton, we got there. Me and my stepdad ended up going to the combine on the Friday. So we saw some of the defensive backs and then the tight ends in the second part of the day. And then we were also there on the Saturday to see the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. On the Friday, the first day that we were there, right around the time that we were still like watching the defensive backs running, there was a young lady that was behind us, and she was timing. And each day in the combine, she was there for the last number of years, and they always spotlight her a little bit. Well, it just so happened that we were sitting right in front of her. And so when the big board ended up coming up, we could see her, but my stepdad was actually right there in the front. And so I said, hey, you better smile. You're on the camera. And we always give each other crap like, oh, yeah, hey, smile. You're on the camera. And he didn't believe me. He's like, oh, no, I'm not. And I said, yeah, look. And all of a sudden he looked and he was like, oh, and he just kind of did one of these waves on national television. And so that made it really funny. So I ended up messaging my wife and kids. And so I said, hey, turn the combine on specifically at this time to see something on the combine. And so they're like, oh, there's Grandpa. And so they were all really excited about it. And it was really, it really kind of kicked the events off, in a positive way.
That's incredible. That is so funny. Dustin made national television.
I didn't. My stepdad did.
Oh, okay.
On Saturday, though, actually on Friday and on Saturday, if you were at the combine, there was somebody that sent in like their selfie image, and you could see me in like the background of their picture. And then on the Saturday, I ended up sending one in through their QR code, and sure enough, there I was in my purple jacket, of course, Vikings hat on. I just wrote Skull, and it was on the big board. So if you were there, you saw me too.
Nice.
Yep.
Sounds like you guys had a great time.
Yeah, we definitely had a good time. So remember last year how I was sitting by different families? Yeah. No different this year, Colton. On Friday, I ended up sitting down. You get to talking to people. Everyone's always so nice at the combine, in the stands, on the field. Everything looks like it's really organized. I sat next to two high-end Texas defenders' parents, and I had a chance to talk to them. The guy that was over to my right was Anthony Hill Jr.'s dad. And Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas, he ended up, I said, what did he run for the 40? I didn't know much about him. And he's like, oh, yeah, you ran a 4.51. And I was like, 4.51? I'm like, that had to have been like top 5 running. He's like, number 3. And he's like, yeah, he's projected to be a second round pick. And I said, oh, congratulations. And then I had the opportunity to root on one of the father's sons during the defensive backs competition, and that was Malik Muhammad. And his family was so nice, had a ton of support. They took up a whole stand, and it was really exciting to see him compete. He looked like he did a really good job at the combine. His agent came up, started talking to the father about this and that, and some of his sisters were, getting their picture taken with the agent. And then Malik ended up coming back to the stands. And then what I didn't know is he must have had 2 daughters that were there. So he was with them. He kind of held their hand, and it looked like, it just looked like a really nice family.
Nice. I mean, that's the cool part about the combine. You just get to go and make all these connections with all these players that are so far unknown, but who knows? Maybe they'll be big names someday. So really cool. It sounds like just a fun interaction and fun time, man.
I'll be watching their names in the NFL draft, and we'll see where they go. The Vikings definitely need some defenders, so here I am in all my purple, and you never know kind of what's going to come about it, but it just makes for an interesting story and a name that you're not going to forget.
Sounds like you had a great time. Super excited for you, man, and just glad you got to make those interactions again.
Yeah, definitely had some interactions. As you said, we posted a ton of small micro videos, 5, 10, 15-second long videos. You had the vertical jumps, you had the broad jumps. I mean, if you're watching it on television, they don't really show a lot of that unless you're like the major prospect. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was showing some of that on the Fantasy Holics Facebook group, on the X account, FF Healers. I've got a few videos up there too. Actually on X, Stour's mom ended up liking one of the posts that I had about him being like a top 2 tight end and how well that he did in the with all of his athletic events. And then also Roush, I think his name is Sam Roush, another tight end. And he actually did all the events at the combine. But I said, like, how well that he also did with such a big size. He's like 6'6", 260 some odd pounds, and he showed some athleticism also. And his folks ended up also hitting that like button.
Nice. That's it's always exciting to just get some families finding those tweets and getting them out there for them to see. I mean, because that's got to build excitement for them too. It's just like some of these people just in the industry just putting tweets out about their son. Got to be exciting.
Yep, put some 40 times on there on X, and then also on the Fantasy Holics Facebook group. I think there was an agility cone that I got. I'm pretty sure that was Denzel Boston. He was like one of the few guys that actually ended up doing it. So I was like, give him props. He actually I feel like he kind of he took a step forward for me while Casey Concepcion actually took a step back. So I feel like I got Boston now over Concepcion based on what I was watching on the field. It just seemed like Boston had a little more athleticism. Casey, he didn't really test at all. So he can't hold that against him, but he looked tiny compared to a lot of these other wide receivers.
He is definitely of the smaller end of the wide receiver group, and I think that's a lot of people's big knock on him is just kind of that he's got that smaller stature, and it can or cannot work in the NFL. I mean, look at Tank Dell, great wide receiver, but just can't stay healthy, man.
So we had to at least, get some of the major athleticism guys out there from the tight ends. And so Sadiq ended up being a very athletic tight end, and so did Eli Stowers. Eli Stowers ended up jumping the highest ever, I believe, for a vertical jump in the combine. And both of them went 1-2, I believe, in regards to the 40 time.
Yeah, we have some absolute athletic freaks coming out of the tight end class for this year. With Sadiq, I mean, just blowing the class out of the water with his athleticism there. I have a feeling that's going to really bump his draft capital and also bump him in fantasy players' eyes just because of how athletic he is.
We knew he was athletic before the combine, and we talked about that before. Like, we don't want to we're making sure that we're not double counting, but people are going to be overhyped at the tight end position because athleticism really matters with the tight end position. And now he's going to get the draft capital. Someone's going to get excited, and so he's probably going to be a first NFL round pick, at worst second round pick. And he showed the athleticism. Do you like, how high do you think that he's going to go in rookie drafts? Do you think he's at that 1-3, 1-4 like area now?
I don't think he's that high. I think he's still sitting behind, your big three names in terms of wide receivers, definitely behind Love. But he could definitely be inching up to that 105, 106, especially after this showing. That might solidify him there. There was questions of him going later first round, but this might really bump him up depending on draft capital and where we see him land in rookie drafts.
I still think I like the value in Eli Stowers more than the value that you're going to have to put into your first round or probably early to mid first round rookie pick in our rookie drafts. I'd rather spend that early second round pick on like an Eli Stowers if you think he's going to fall there versus having to pay up top 5 pick for like a Sadiq.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more when we go to break down all these rookies in our upcoming episodes. But my big thing with Kenyon Sadiq is he has all this freak athleticism and just none of the productivity behind the name at this point to like be like, well, he's a freak athlete in college. Why couldn't he produce there? And is that going to translate to the NFL? Is he all of a sudden going to start producing magically with all this athleticism that he already has? I don't know. And with the way he showed up at the combine, I think you're right. He's going to really get his stock boosted. And at that point, I'm going to have to back off of him. But right now, it's just people are going to love that.
So I made some other notes here. Justin Jolly is a tight end that I'm often hearing on a lot of podcasts. And I got to say, when I was at the combine, he just did not look engaged at all with any of the athletic measurables or testing. He didn't test at all. He just looked like he had his arms crossed, like I didn't want to be there. It didn't get me excited at all. And so I feel like Justin Jolly is going to be a guy that I'm probably going to push down my rankings overall. Max Clare, he was a guy that we were kind of excited about. What I learned about Max Clare is that he's actually of German descent, and he actually came to the United States and lived in Georgia, where he had to learn how to speak English. And if you listen to some of the interviews, like you can't tell. And so I just thought that was just a fascinating little nugget because I had no idea. As far as like on the field, I didn't see anything that pushed his value up, and I didn't see anything that pushed it down. It was just kind of like okay, he's going to be I think a fine tight end, but it wasn't anybody that got me excited when I was watching him. I did still get a bit excited with Tanner Kozel. If you watch the gauntlet, which, that means a lot in tight end world or in the combine as a whole. And me and Colton here are laughing because it really doesn't mean a whole lot. But you know who the person was that ended up like showing everybody how to do the gauntlet the first time through? They chose Tanner Kozel, number 15. So he wasn't even like the tight end one. He was number 15 in the order. And they said, hey, come on up here, show us how to do the gauntlet. And he looked like he just had a lot of versatility. He looked really smooth in his route running.
Nice. I mean, that was someone that you were excited prior to this. So it's kind of cool to see him come to fruition here. And we'll see what NFL teams think of him following this combine. I don't know his metrics off the top of my head here, but it'll be interesting to see how he kind of lands.
There's a lot of people comparing Sadiq now to Vernon Davis.
I hear that a lot.
Davis? I'm hearing that everywhere now.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Or like, what's his name? The tight end that's with the Broncos, that was with the Giants that had got drafted.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram, thank you. They're comparing him to both of those two is what I keep hearing. And with Vernon Davis coming up 9 times out of 10.
How's no one comparing him to Jelani Woods?
I actually heard that on one podcast about Jelani Woods. And so that's the cautionary tale, Colton. Yeah. That's the cautionary tale about these athletic tight ends is that, they can be as athletic as you could be. Like a Jelani Woods, man. He was so athletic. That's what got me so excited.
Yeah.
And he was your guy. He was on the Colts. And unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Did not. He was actually the number 1 most athletic tight end to come through the combine prior to Sadiq here. I mean, Sadiq took the number 1 spot at this point. But yeah, the whole time everybody's he's so athletic. Look at all this. I'm like, did everybody forget Jelani Woods? Like how athletic of a freak this guy was with no production. Granted, he'd only been playing tight end for a few years at that point, I believe, with Woods. But still, man, it's just, I mean, everybody's just getting so hyped. I'm like, remember Jelani Woods, just keep it in your back pocket, guys, because, I mean, the athleticism is not the full story.
But I mean, you definitely want to have an athletic tight end
Yes.
to have that, to reach that ceiling. And I think
Correct.
that's really the key, that to get the ceiling in fantasy football, to make that, top 5 tight end versus like top 12. Who cares if you're top 12 in fantasy football? Because it's like, the number 12 is no different than the 24th scoring tight end in a lot of cases. And so the ceiling is high for Sadiq. That really boosts the excitement. The ceiling is high for Stowers. They're both really athletic tight ends. They're both versatile players. They're both about 240 pounds, which thank goodness they're hitting that mark, because if they're lighter than that 240 mark, that really depreciates their value at the tight end position, especially for like blocking. They both have 10-inch or nearly 10-inch hands. So that's good for, catching footballs. In fact, there's only one tight end out of the whole group that had less than 9-inch hands. And that was Riley Nowakowski out of Indiana, and nobody cares.
You and the hand size, that is your
For catching, it makes a difference.
that is your live and die on that hill, is the hand size of
We're
everybody.
gonna get there for the wide receivers, but there was one other tight end that really caught my eye outside of even Sam Roush, and he's more of a blocking tight end. So he showed the athleticism. He's a blocking guy, but he showed the athleticism out of Stanford. Again, his family ended up hitting the like button. So again, shouting out to his family. But this John Michael Geilenberg out of Wyoming, he showed like he was very athletic. And I got to say, I was very impressed with the footwork, the route running, his ball handling skills. He's a 6'6", 200 and nearly 50-pound tight end. And I'm going to have to take a look back to see how this guy plays and what his stats are, because I don't have a lot of information about him. But Gellenberg out of Wyoming is a guy maybe take a second look at.
I mean, yeah, I mean, some of these blocking tight ends still get the job done. I mean, look at Dawson Knox is one of those guys that has some athleticism, can catch the ball. Everybody wrote off Darnell Washington with the Steelers, and he was a freaking animal this year when they got the ball into his hand. He was just shot putting guys, like just off of him. So some of these guys, they get the opportunity to get the ball in their hands.
But they did have Jonnu Smith, and they had Freiermuth, and so he was still technically the third tight end. But as we know from listening to the show, Colton, in 2024, the Steelers going into 2025 by far had the most percentile 3 tight end sets out of any team in the NFL. And that was before they got Jonnu.
Man, Ohio State is in for a rude awakening when they're running 4 tight end sets.
Well, I heard Jonnu dropped out, so that way he can go back in and see if he can get eligibility to go back to Ohio State and follow Arthur Smith.
He's going to be like off the bench warmers, where he hands over the little piece of paper that says, "I am 12." If you ever seen the bench warmers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's going back to college.
Colton, so that was pretty much day one in the combine on the Friday with the tight ends. And again, tight ends, it gets me excited. Last note that I had was like Michael Trigg. He did not test. I'm just wondering if he's still injured. Hand size, you ask. 10.5-inch mitts. 6'4", 240 pounds. He's an athletic guy, I suspect. But we didn't see any testing, so I can't quite say. There was like a bug or a spider that was coming down, and I just went and just wiped it off. It's wax on, wax off.
Like a ninja moves over there, man.
Wax on, wax off.
My goodness. Thought someone was about to jump you. I thought I was going to have to run and save you for a second. You got yourself, though. You handled it.
I think I handled it pretty well.
Black belt. Huh? Black belt?
Never had one lesson.
Wow. Just a natural savant then.
Sometimes you're just born with the instincts, Colton.
Killer instincts.
Killer instincts. So on the Saturday, Colton, where it was running backs. Let's start with running backs first. Did you have an opportunity to watch the combine on the Saturday?
I did not. Like I said, I was watching my own. I got to watch all your highlights that you were sending. I did watch those. But
Okay.
I was busy watching my own person running in underwear.
So if you and the viewers watched any of my videos on whether it be X or on the Fantasy Holics Facebook group, you know of a guy named Mike Washington, because Mike Washington and Sadiq, their 40 times were the most played. It was like a 5-second clip, but we had like 3.5 hours worth of people actually like watching this footage. And so Mike Washington, he ended up running a 4.33 40 time. And people were concerned about his athleticism, but like, how high is this guy going to jump in our fantasy rankings, Colton, based on his athletic scores, his speed scores, his height, 6'1", 223 pounds? You know whose build that is? That's an Adrian Peterson-esque build. Adrian Peterson, when he came out, was 6'1", 220 pounds. And he also ran a 4.36, I believe. So now he's also showing that he's faster than Adrian Peterson. And I suspect that he can catch the ball better than Adrian Peterson could. This guy could be a guy on a roster, Colton, that we really need to watch. He's probably going to be drafted. I could see people pushing him up to the mid-first, late first round of rookie drafts based on how well that he competed in the combine. And if he gets drafted in the day 2, forget about it. He's going to be a tough one to get in your drafts.
It was super funny that you bring him up first here, because everybody, and I mean everybody, was like, oh, this guy could be a sleeper. I'm like, if he's everybody's sleeper, he's not
a sleeper.
He's not a sleeper, guys. Like, so I saw him everywhere. Everyone's saying, oh man, he just destroyed at the combine. He's no longer going to be a sleeper. I'm like, he wasn't going to be, because all of you were tweeting about him. Everybody knew he's not a sleeper. And so, there is, with him having this athleticism that he has, he could absolutely be climbing up the NFL's boards, which means he's going to climb up dynasty boards. And in a weaker running back class anyways, it could boost him up even more with all the needs at running back in dynasty and in real NFL. We're in dire need of running backs, and why not take a chance on a guy that's 223 pounds and that can run that fast? I mean, that's absolutely insane. So I have an unwrapped
number one 40 time. Number 1 40 time in a class that has Jeremiah Love, who scored number 2. And then Mike Washington also scored second best in the class for vertical jump and second best in the broad jump in the running back class.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy that if he falls to me later in the first rounds, depending on draft capital, I'll definitely be taking a shot on him for somebody like that. A back that's that big and can run. I'm excited to jump into his tape just to kind of see how his vision is and how he works the field. But definitely be interesting to see how the NFL feels about him after this combine.
Colton, we did a mock draft, a pre-combine mock draft just last week. And I posted it a little bit late. I meant for it came out on the Friday, but in order to like send it off to like our friends and some of our sleeper apps and things like that came out a little bit later than I wanted it to. But a guy that you had brought up was Demond Claiborne. You were excited about how fast this guy was going to go. He runs a 4.37. Granted, 188 pounds. So we were concerned about like how small is he going to be, but he's about the size that we expected. I had concerns that he could have been maybe like 175, and it's like, that would be really tough. But he really showed well, I thought, at the combine.
I mean, what can I say? I like fast players, man. I'm out here looking for the next Devon Achane. Somebody that's quick and can get in and out. I'm not saying he's the next Devon Achane. Stop hearing what I'm not saying. Just saying I like those kind of players, man. Sometimes you just got to call your shot, man. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's like my new saying. It's put it across my head. Sometimes you got to call your shot.
Definitely, Colton. Of course, I had to watch Eli Heinrich. I had to watch Emmett Johnson. We had to see guys like Price and Moss and see how some of these guys are going. I was a little let down with Emmett Johnson. I thought his athleticism looked kind of poor, in my opinion. He didn't look fast. He looked like he was kind of moving slow. Even Price, I really wasn't overly impressed with. A guy who runs 4.5. I thought maybe he could be that maybe number 2 running back in this class. And I mean, right now, how do you not have Mike Washington as your number 2 running back based on what you saw at the combine?
Yeah, I mean everybody had Price pretty much just written in as the number 2, and obviously Washington is just climbing the boards with that athleticism. And I wasn't super big on Price, but I do know a lot of people did have him as the number 2 here, and that combine's definitely starting to change people's minds as it does every year.
And so after the running backs went, they also did slots, snaps, and there was only 4 running backs. There was Price, Love, Emmett Johnson, and guess who the 4th one was, Colton?
Who?
Eli Hendrick was the 4th one. And you know what? He looked smoother than Price and smoother than Emmett Johnson when he was doing I mean, obviously Love is Love, but he looked like the number 2 of the 4 in the slot as a running back. And I love seeing the versatility with this guy.
Yeah, and I mean you gotta have backs that can catch if you want fantasy production. You obviously have some of your freaks like Derrick Henry don't catch the ball very often, but if you want fantasy production and a guy that has top 5 capabilities, he's got to be able to catch the ball.
Oh, I did have a note here, and I know we didn't discuss it at all, but Jadarian Price, you know what I wrote down for the vertical jump?
What?
Wimpy. It was wimpy. He didn't have any explosiveness. He got like the first rung of the vertical jump. It was awful. It was not good at all.
He almost whiffed?
It was terrible. I mean, you get a couple shots to do it in, and he just hits like whoop, just the one. It's like a wimpy. It was automatic right down, wimpy.
Oh man.
Not good. I mean, you want a back that can explode, you know, and whether it's the broad jump or the vertical jump, like that's showing that burst and that explosiveness. And you want him to like have that quick burst when he first gets the ball in his hand, so that way he can make that first jump cut or make that first move so you can plow through the hole. And I didn't see that as far as the vertical jump was concerned. And his broad jump really wasn't great either.
Yeah, I feel like those are some of the more underrated metrics when it comes to running back is like the jumping. Because yes, like you said, it shows explosiveness. And we see a lot of running backs that aren't necessarily like super fast, but are explosive, be very good because they can just hit the hole and then get a lot of yards right after. I mean, there's a lot of bodies around you when you're trying to run the ball. It's very rare to break off huge runs. So those guys that can just hit the hole and get 5 or 6 yards every carry because they're just so explosive through it, super important to have. And I feel like those metrics are very important when trying to determine a player's explosiveness.
So if you were to ever go to the combine here, basically when you first walk in, they give you this document here, and then it has everybody's names and like what their number is in regards to the position that they're on the field. So they'll have like running back 10, running back 18, and so on and so forth, quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, through whatever. And then what I'm usually doing is before the events even start, you can go on the combine website and you can see the height and the weights, and I'm writing that down on the side column. And then on the far end where there's other comments, if you want to write hand size, arm size, or whatever things that you're seeing, then I write that down too. So that way it kind of jots my memory of like, hey, what else did I see at the combine? Oh, I saw this. I saw that. This next guy, he was a guy I said was my quarterback too, going pre-draft or pre-combine, and that's Talon Green. And he's no sleeper anymore, Colton, because he jumped out of the building. He ran a 4.37. That was faster than Anthony Richardson. He's more athletic than Anthony Richardson, and he has the accuracy of Anthony Richardson. That's the whole problem. But people were comparing him to Terrell Pryor, a quarterback that transitioned to wide receiver late in his career. There's also other quarterbacks, if they don't make it, turn into be a tight end also. And that was Eli Stowers, by the way, in college. He was a quarterback that transitioned to tight end. And we've seen it many times where quarterbacks, if they don't make it in the NFL, what happens? They transition them to the tight end position or sometimes a wide receiver position. And I'm still excited about Jalen Green. And I couldn't stop just like watching him and seeing how his mechanics were. And I didn't think his mechanics looked bad when he was throwing the ball.
Yeah, I still have a bad taste. In my mouth.
Anthony Richardson. It's only because he's comps to Anthony Richardson. Is that why you got the bad taste, Colton?
It is, and I mean, I just see it. Yeah, he is an absolute athletic freak. He's got all of the things. He's like what 6'6" or something like that.
6'6", 227
227.
pounds.
Yeah, 6'6", 227. So I mean, tall boy. For weight wise, he's not like probably super built or anything. 227 is good size, but it's
He has good
not
frame.
But yeah, man, everything I keep seeing, they're like, oh, this guy's athletic and crazy. And I just don't know if he's going to get the draft capital to ever get the chance. If he even sees the field, I think he can run. But once again, it's going to be, can he throw it? Can he fix his mechanics and everything? Because from everything I've heard, I haven't watched it myself yet, but everything I've heard is like there are like drives where he is on. Like he is hitting the player in stride, he's making good passes, and then the very next drive, he's just throwing the ball crazy. If he gets pressure on him, then he just completely folds. It just literally is like Anthony Richardson 2.0 is what it sounds like to me. It's just yes, he can be a decent quarterback if he has the drive and like the plays all set and he knows what's going on. But as soon as everything breaks down, he's just looking to run. And cannot make the play with his arm and everything and just panics. So he's going to be interesting to see what the NFL thinks of him. I mean, if he gets some decent draft capital, he's absolutely someone I'll take a shot on in Superflex, third, fourth round when everything is kind of out. But there's a lot of hype around this guy right now. So we'll see how it pans out.
Kind of sounds like he's a raw quarterback that needs time to like build his skills in the NFL before he is getting thrust into a situation where he has to start, Colton. And isn't that better for him to be a later round quarterback, like second round, third round, fourth round quarterback versus Anthony Richardson, who was drafted number 4 overall, who was supposed to be that quarterback that needed time to develop. But did the Colts give him time to develop? No. They thrust him in there. He was an immature quarterback. He was taking himself out of plays. He was getting injured every other play. And then the rest is history. Now they're looking at potentially trading Anthony Richardson. Has been brought up as far as the rumor mill. And there's so many rumors that are going on now too. But why trade for an Anthony Richardson who looks like he's kind of failed in the NFL when you could draft a Talon Green on your NFL roster a lot cheaper?
Yeah, it's just there's the possibility of it, but he is also already 23, will be 24, I believe, at the season or partially in. So he has experience in college and everything. You would
second round, and he did okay.
Chuck did do okay. He showed that his experience was taking care of him, though. Like he came in with experience and was like, yeah, I kind of know this situation. Whereas this guy is it's just already, he's 23 years old, still just kind of making these same things. Is he stuck in his ways? Could someone change it? I don't know. I'm not saying all hope is lost. I'm just saying that be wary of it and listen to what the NFL has to say about him too.
A quarterback that I didn't know much about, and I got to look back at, was Haynes King out of Georgia Tech. He is a smaller quarterback. He's 6'2", same size as Ty Simpson, by the way. So I don't know. He looked really athletic when I was watching him in the first group of the quarterbacks. And again, he's a guy that ran 4.47. He had a pretty decent like vertical and broad jump, but I don't know. He's just a name to know right now, Colton. And this quarterback class isn't very good, but don't be surprised if you start to see Haynes King is maybe in my top 10 quarterbacks in this class.
Top 10 quarterbacks in this class?
Well, I got to write 10 down somewhere.
Oh my gosh. You're going to go all the way to 10?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I'll make a list of 10, but I don't know if it really matters.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see our guy Chris Bell compete, but he did measure in at 6'2", 222 pounds. I do like to see that. 10-inch hands, Colton, so you don't have to worry. Skylar Bell, he looked athletic. He ran a 4.4, again 10-inch hands, 6 foot, 192 pounds. He is looking like a wide receiver that I have some pretty high interest in, Colton. And I was more impressed by Skylar Bell than what I was with Casey Concepcion.
What is it that you liked about him?
He just looked really fluid. I felt like Concepcion looked tiny. It was Concepcion's hair. I think that was trying to make him look taller than what he really was. He looked really scrawny when he was doing anything. And mind you, he didn't do any of the athletic measurables, which I wasn't impressed with, because I don't think he's a guy that really fits the bill as like hey, he's going to be a first round wide receiver no matter what. So him not running the 40, him not doing the vertical, him not doing the broad jump, that gives me a little bit of pause in Concepcion's athleticism. And Concepcion reminded me, although it says he's 6 foot, and again, I just find it hard to believe for Concepcion, he reminded me of Tank Dell as far as his size. And Tank Dell, like, he's a unicorn. And when I'm going in my fantasy drafts, I'm not looking for unicorns. I'm not looking for guys that look like Tank Dell to draft at the wide receiver position, especially in a late first round pick or an early second round pick. I'm sorry. I'll wait a little longer and I'll get a Skylar Bell instead. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right. I'll take your word for it on that one. Definitely someone that is absolutely interesting to keep an eye on as we near the draft and kind of get more rumors of where we think guys are going.
What'd you think? I don't know. Did you see any of the running at all? Did you see like Malachi Fields at all run or jump or do anything?
I did not, actually.
Here's my notes. Sluggish, gauntlet, and 40. He ran a 4.62. He looks like a slower Pittman. He looks like a slower Michael Pittman out there.
Michael Pittman is not known to be super speedy, so
I liked Pittman. He was a 112, 201 pick in rookie drafts the year that he came out. I'm not getting anywhere close to Malachi Fields with a second round pick even. No, thank you. I will pass. He's not a guy that I'm planning on targeting in my rookie drafts. Omar Cooper versus Elijah Surratt. Omar Cooper looked much more athletic than Surratt. Surratt looked kind of like a baby deer out there where he didn't look like he really knew where his body was in space when he was going for the ball. While Omar Cooper, he looked really solid. He was catching the ball away from his body. He looked like he had good ball control. He looked like he could kind of burst off the scene. He ran a good 40, a 4.43. I'm, again, sticking with my thought that Omar Cooper of the Indiana wide receivers is actually looking better than Elijah Surratt.
And from what I've heard, that's what actually a lot of people are saying after the combine is, Omar Cooper is kind of that guy. There's a lot of people that could be projecting him to sneak into the first round possibly too, from what I've heard and read. So definitely interesting to see how that grouping is kind of unfolding here, that Cooper's starting to take the lead on that one.
So in the second group of the quarterbacks and wide receivers, we had Cade Klubnik, we had Fernando Mendoza, who didn't do anything other than he did do a warm-up where, that egg drill where you're kind of holding your legs together and you're kind of rocking back and forth. For some reason, he decided that was a good stretch for him to do with the rest of the players when he's not going to throw, compete, or do anything at the NFL Combine. But damn it, I'm going to pull myself into an egg and I'm going to rock back and forth. But don't worry, they gave us all a draft card, and they're saying that the Raiders are going to be still drafting him number 1 overall in this year's NFL draft.
I really thought you meant like they were holding an egg in between. I'm like, why do they got eggs out there?
No, they curl themselves into a little ball.
Yeah,
and they're just rocking on their back and forth. I don't know. Is that a yoga move or something? Probably. I never really understood that at all. But
you're the PT here. You should know yoga.
I don't, Colton. Spoiler alert, I'm not very flexible. And unfortunately, my daughter has my flexibility and my son has my wife's flexibility. So he's in gymnastics and my daughter's in swim.
No, you'll have it, man.
I kept watching Cole Payton. I wanted to be excited about this guy. He has 10 and a quarter inch hands, nice can size, good speed, 4.56. 6'3", 230 pounds. So a nice natural size. But I don't know. It just seemed like he was just missing some of the accuracy in some of the throws. And so he's a guy that I'd be interested in to see, is a team going to allow him to develop into a decent quarterback? I don't expect him to get drafted in the first round. He's probably not getting drafted in the second round, but can he get drafted in the third round and be developmental as a QB2 or a QB3 for a team? There's some excitement there. It's not quite where I'd like it to be at this combine.
I just get the giggles every time you just bring up the hand size, because
I'm doing that on purpose now.
You get so excited about the hands. It's like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands? I just can't help but laugh. Yeah, honestly, he's just, with this quarterback class, man, I'm not falling for any of it. That's my flag plant on this. I'm falling for nothing until the draft. I'm glad I am in no league such as No Guts, No Glories, where I'm drafting prior, because I would miss out on every single quarterback I think that the NFL might even have some interest in, because I'm like, they're all going late. And that's just unfortunately how I'm thinking right now. But there's guys that can, come out of the woodworks and sneak up and be backups. And those guys are important to have too on your dynasty teams, especially in Superflex. So
you're not excited about Diego Pavia's 5'10" height?
He's a wee bit taller than me. So no, I am not NFL ready.
There were some people thinking he was going to be closer to 5'8".
Yes, that's what I heard. I heard everybody was actually shocked that he was 5'10". Technically, he was like 5'9" and 7'8", so they gave him a little extra boost.
Remember how I said Ty Simpson was 6'2"? I lied. He's actually 6'1" and 211 pounds. And there was a guy that was sitting in front of me, and this guy, he just didn't shut up the entire time I was there. And he'd go from one group to another group, and, oh, yeah, this and that. And the next thing you know, at the near end of the day on the Saturday, oh yeah, I better get some videos. We're from Alabama. We want to, root on Ty Simpson. I wanted to say, he sucks. He sucks. But I learned from last year, I probably should hold my tongue in case the poor man's family was nearby, like Riley Leonard's parents that were not too far away from me just last year in the 2025 NFL Combine. So I did learn a lesson from 2025. I held my tongue, but I got to say, I didn't see anything impressive about Ty Simpson throwing at the NFL Combine this year. Not a darn thing. And I tried, because the guy in front of me, he was telling me everything about everything, and I didn't give a crap. He did not show it on the field.
You live and you learn, man. You've learned a very important lesson here. Yeah, I believe in our draft last week, I talked about Ty Simpson was a mobile quarterback. He's not. I think I said he was like mobile and everything. I'm a big fat liar. Don't listen to me. I don't know why I had it stuck in my head that he was. No, he's like just.
Were you thinking of Taylon Green?
I might have been. I think I was thinking of Taylon Green during that whole conversation. So boo for me and getting that messed up. But man, he's a pocket passer that has just he's got an okay arm. It's not terrible, but yeah, he's not going to be a guy that I think I'm interested in. Maybe the NFL takes a shot on him because a lot of people like him as the number 2 in this class. So far is kind of what I'm hearing. Here and there, I hear mixed reviews about his combine. Everybody's like, oh, it was good. Oh, it wasn't that good. Oh, it was good. And so it's very mixed reviews, wishy-washy, which is kind of what turns me off even more. I'm like, if you guys can't even make up your mind on this, I mean, obviously it's not that good enough. Like, it's not good enough for me to be convinced that I should be taking him in a dynasty draft, but maybe he'll be a good backup.
I wanted to be excited about Nussmeier also, and I just couldn't. Another 6'2" quarterback, undersized. He didn't run. He didn't really compete athletically, and just the routes and the throwing. And I understand these aren't wide receivers and tight ends and running backs that they're really affiliated with. There's a lot of random guys, and there's a lot of random chance on how it's all going to go and making those connections. But I didn't see enough out of Nussmeier. I didn't see enough out of Cole Payton. Diego Pavia, give me a break. Fernando Mendoza, the egg rolling thing, okay, I saw more than what I wanted to. As far as the last group of the wide receivers, just a couple guys I had circled: Ted Hurst, Bryce Lance, Antonio Williams. They all looked pretty athletic, and they looked like they had all of which looked like they had pretty good route running. But the one position that athleticism really doesn't matter as much, it's unfortunately the wide receiver. The wide receiver position doesn't really matter a whole lot about athleticism, but again, it does boost that ceiling. You have Bryce Lance, Trey Lance's brother. He ran a 4.34. 4.34. That's faster than Love. That's faster than Sadiq. That's faster than Eli Stowers. That's a fast time, Colton. But is it going to matter? Probably not.
Yeah, I'd say probably not. I mean, look at all the really fast wide receivers we've seen come out in recent years. We had last year Matthew Golden. Don't care. The year prior to that, Xavier Worthy. It looked hopeful. This year, I don't care. It's these speedy guys. It's just there is one of one with the speedy guys. Tyreek Hill in his prime, maybe not so much anymore. And end of list, man. I mean, it's just these speedy guys. They keep looking for the next Tyreek Hill, and I just don't know if they're going to be out there. And if they do, it's going to be extremely rare to that. So
they don't have to look too hard, because my understanding is Tyreek Hill is going to be released by the Miami Dolphins. So if they want a Tyreek Hill, why not just go after Tyreek Hill?
Well, I think the Tyreek Hill of old might be no longer with us.
That's true. Although he's got next to kin.
He is now the Tyreek Hill old, not of old.
Got the next to kin. He's got like 8 babies.
Oh, plenty of babies to come out.
Yeah. They all sped out really fast.
Probably 4 more on the way.
So lastly, in regards to the wide receivers of the combine, you had Carnell Tate, you had Jordan Tyson, you had Mekhi Lemon, all of which were not too far off in regards to size. Like Tate and Lemon, Tate was 6'2", Lemon was 5'11", which people were excited to see. He was at least 5'11", and you had Jordan Tyson, who was also 6'2". So Tate and Tyson was supposed to be like a really towering like wide receiver. His height was the exact same as Tate. And Colton, we got to talk about it one more time about hand size. Carnell Tate, 10.25 inch hands. Jordan Tyson, 9 1/8 inch hands. And unfortunately for Mekhi Lemon, who he sounded like he put up a lemon at the combine, because this poor man, he ended up having 8 3/4 inch hands. And they don't have very good stats for wide receivers that have under 9-inch hands. We heard it all the time about Luther Burden, who's now going to have an opportunity with the Bears because something happened that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But Mekhi Lemon also sounded like he just completely crashed down to earth when it came to his interview process. It sounded like he had a really bad interviews along to go with the little hands.
Is that a Ben Stiller?
I got some kind of, yeah, I guess.
It was like a reference to Ben Stiller. Incredible. Yeah, I saw the videos popping up everywhere of Mekhi Lemon and his just awkward interviews. Super awkward. Just how odd. I mean, a lot of people are like, he bombed it, so now everyone's gonna hate him. Someone is still going to take their shot on him. I think, relatively high in the second round, if not still a first rounder. He did come in. Everyone, like you said, everyone's excited. He was at least 5'11". They were expecting him to be possibly smaller than that. So that's going to at least not be a knock on him. In my own opinion, out of those 3, Mekhi Lemon is probably my third there. So I'm not as excited for him as some other people are. Definitely has a production behind him. So he's got a lot of numbers on his side, kind of helping his case and everything. So if you can get past the awkward interviews and maybe get that man some PR help.
I'm having a hard time ranking these top 3 because last week before our pre-combine draft, I'm thinking, Lemon. I think Lemon's going to be number 1. Before that, I'm like, you know what? I really like Carnell Tate. I saw a lot of Ohio State playing. But again, he's probably more of like a T. Higgins-like player. And by the way, Carnell Tate reminded me of T. Higgins when I was at the combine. A good wide receiver too. The build, everything, the way he presented himself, his route running, like it seemed like it looked so close to like a T. Higgins. But Jordan Tyson, as you know, he didn't compete at all. I don't even know if I saw him, to be honest. But he at least didn't decrease his opportunity while Lemon did. So I feel like it's kind of like a Tate. And if you want to shoot for the moon, Jordan Tyson, you could have at your number 1 spot. And then, as you said, Lemon's kind of bounced back down to number 3.
And that's why a good agent honestly helps you out. I mean, if you're going to put up bad numbers or weird stuff in the combine, don't do it, man. Just don't. And that's probably what Tyson's agent said. They're like, hey, you're probably not going to improve your draft stock with what you put out. And maybe he still puts out fine numbers, but what is it? Why are you putting out fine numbers that's going to keep you exactly where you're at? You go to do the combine to try to increase your your marketability. You try to go to increase your draft stock. There's no point in doing it if you're just going to end up where you're still at, or if not worse. I mean, the risk versus the reward on that one. And Lemon might have messed that one up.
I'm thinking this through as you're talking, Colton, as we're talking about these 3. I had already said that I think I'd take Skylar Bell over Casey Concepcion. Would I take Skylar Bell over Lemon? I might. Based on what I saw at the combine.
Getting spicy.
I might be getting spicy. I guess we'll have to see where we're at with our wide receiver rankings, but I don't know, Colton. It's going to be really tough for me to want to pick any of these wide receivers at the top of the rookie drafts, that pick 3, 4, 5. Like I'm going to have a hard time. I'd almost be better off having like a 105 or 106 and just see who kind of drops to me and then kind of pivot from there. What do you think? Are you thinking Tyson or Tate is your one?
I've got Tyson currently as my one because, like you said, Carnell Tate is, and this is what a lot of people are saying now as well, is Tate is kind of projecting as more of like a wide receiver 2 to a team, like a good wide receiver 2. Yeah. And this isn't a knock. He's going to be a very good wide receiver 2, I believe. But
he was for Ohio State. Yeah. He was a good wide receiver 2.
But I think Tyson has just the higher ceiling, possibly a lower floor than Tate. I think Tate can hold the higher floor. But I think that if you're looking for the long bomb higher ceiling, I think Tyson holds that potential within his skill set and everything. So that's why I've got Tyson just ahead. You can't no risk it for no biscuit. So
we went 52 minutes there talking about the combine. Lots of excitement about the combine. It's kind of a preview into our rookie rankings, our rookie thought process, and I'm sure next week we'll start to look at some of the rankings with some of these quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and we'll bring it to you for sure. At least 15 quarterbacks deep per Colton. We got to go real deep where it comes to the quarterback position in this wonderful rookie class that we have.
We're going to be checking out the D3 quarterbacks.
Oh man, let me tell you, some of these guys are going to make it in the UFL. We've got to touch on a little bit of some of the guys that have been tagged or released, and we'll go through some of this stuff quick. A couple of the guys that got tagged are Breece Hall got tagged to the Jets. Daniel Jones has a transition tag to the Colts. I want you to talk about that just a bit. Pickens, Pitts, they've both been tagged for their teams also. What's your thoughts on how the Colts are handling the quarterback situation there in Indianapolis?
I mean, we all saw this coming. We knew it was going to happen. They're going to be working on a long-term deal with Daniel Jones. They're in, unfortunate quarterback limbo right now until he kind of recovers from his injury, and then he will be the presumed starter. But the more interesting part, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now, is they gave Anthony Richardson permission to seek a trade. So I don't know if they're trying to come into this season with Riley Leonard, if they're looking at other names. I'm not for sure. But, this was all expected. And, Daniel Jones, when he returns, it'll be presumed that this is his job. So.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I think Anthony Richardson is not going to be on your roster when the season starts, whether he's released or whether he's traded. I think they're trying to see if they can get anything for Anthony Richardson, and I've heard as low as a 5th-round pick for Anthony Richardson, former 4th overall NFL draft pick by the Colts.
Yeah, just wild. Absolutely crazy what that team is doing right now, and they're just. I mean, I can't say I blame them at the same time because I do know that the new owner, Charlie Ursay, she is she's given them a timeline. She's like, if things don't go well next year, they're on the seat. I mean, she's already come out and said it at the end of last season. And so are you going to continue to try to develop? I mean, that's what he deserves and needs. But are you going to try to take the time to continue to develop Anthony Richardson and pretty much just give up your job? Or are you going to go out and try to do what you can to win? And unfortunately,
you're expecting them to want to win, Colton. This is a team that's been kind of mediocre for the last number of years, just missing the playoffs season after season, including this year. If I wanted to lose some games, I'd be throwing Riley Leonard out there. That's right. The Riley Leonard negativity talk is back, Jack. Riley Leonard, have him start every freaking game this year. Just completely just bomb it, the Colts. And guess what? Get a top 5 pick and draft another Manning for the Colts. Archie Manning. Could you see that happening, Colton? Would that get you excited as a Colts fan?
I can't because they're going to sign Daniel Jones to a wonderful contract that's going to set the team back because he's just going to continue that. Maybe we make the playoffs with Daniel Jones and we win maybe a playoff game in the next couple of years. And that's where we live. We live with the Kirk Cousins at this point, where you get one playoff win and over the course of 4 or 5 years. So
here's what's happening with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, he's signing a transition tag, so the Colts will have him for 1 year for like $37 million. Let's not forget, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles this year, and it's going to take some time for a running style quarterback to have an opportunity to rehab and get back on the field. That's going to take time, and this happened pretty late in the season. They had to get a guy off of his couch because there was nobody else available for them because it's past the trade deadline to get a quarterback to start for the Colts who was trying to have playoff hopes just last year. I do not think Daniel Jones is going to play all that many games this year. And in fact, if he does play a few games near the end of the season, if he shows a little bit, sure, they'll sign like a prove-it deal like they did for Justin Fields, 2 years, $40 million, something like that. You also are going to be drafting a young rookie quarterback in a very good quarterback class, whether it's Manning or anybody else. They'll have an opportunity, and then you have a guy that's experienced like Daniel Jones to basically have that experience in front of these guys to provide that bridge that the Colts so much need.
You're saying this like it's a well-run organization. That would require our GM to make some good draft picks and choices. And Chris Ballard has not had quite the rap sheet we've wanted him to. So.
A couple of other quarterbacks that could be available for the Colts this year, Colton, this year. Kyler Murray is pending released from the Cardinals, and Geno Smith is also pending release from the Raiders.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and how you feel as a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm also a Vikings fan. And we have 2 very differing opinions on this one. The rumor swirling around is Kyler Murray is all but a Viking, man.
I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about Kyler Murray to being joined to the Minnesota Vikings, a quarterback that is well known not to read the playbook, not to put forth the effort in practice with the team. And yet he's going to be the quarterback that's going to be leading the Minnesota Vikings and potentially trying to mold 9 into a quarterback that might be usable at some point in his career, which I also doubt. We're also talking about a quarterback that is, height. It makes a difference at the quarterback position here, Colton. And I'm a heightist when it comes to these quarterbacks, with whether it be Bryce Young, whether it be Kyler Murray. You need a quarterback that can see past these 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" offensive tackles and be able to find those zones on the field to do your progressions with throwing the football. And Kyler Murray has not proven that. Talk about a guy that just gives up on a play and just starts running around with his head cut off. That's Kyler Murray. Are you sure this is the guy that you want on your offense? I don't. I'm not excited for it. Not at all. Give me Mitch Trubisky, darn it.
What's Kyler's hand size? That's the real question.
Stay tuned. I'm
know
sure
you're
I'm
gonna
going
look
to
at
find
that.
it here in a second.
Because I'll give my
You're gonna have to filibuster here a little bit.
I think it's honestly at least a scenario that the Vikings can fall into that is better than trying to just roll with 9. Unfortunately, in JJ McCarthy, we saw already 1 year of Justin Jefferson's career just be wasted, thrown to the toilet. It was irrelevant. People didn't want to start him in dynasty or fantasy football. I mean, he had to have hated having that on his rap sheet as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL because his quarterback couldn't get him the ball. And Kyler Murray can at least get the ball to him. He's at least a better option than JJ McCarthy here. And they're going to get him on a deal that is way cheaper than having to pay a big named guy. I mean, Kyler Murray was the 101 at one point, and he has had good seasons and then tore his ACL and just has not come back from it. He's like Sam Darnold, just seeing ghosts out there when it comes to it. But in all honesty, if there's any quarterback coach that can teach him out of it, I trust Kevin O'Connell to at least bring some life back to him. But I think it's the better option here than just wasting Justin Jefferson's career and not trying to get somebody better.
You liar!
Are you listening to yourself about Kyler Murray? Did we not talk about all season long about how he couldn't give the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr.? He couldn't get the ball to his number 1 wide receiver on an offense that didn't have a whole lot of wide receivers at the time. And yes, they had a really good tight end, don't get me wrong, but you can't even give it to your number 1 wide receiver when he's on the field. And you think that's going to help Justin Jefferson? I call shenanigans.
I said better than JJ McCarthy.
And which reminds me, JJ McCarthy, his nickname is Kyler Murray's hand size, 9 inches.
So he's just right on the cutoff, huh?
Right on the cutoff. 9.
9. Whole bunch of 9s there in Minnesota.
A lot of 9s in Minnesota. We don't need any more 9s, Colton. Golly. Yeah, I just don't see it, Colton. I don't. At least we wouldn't have to pay him like he was getting paid with the Cardinals.
That's what I'm saying.
We're not paying him like we would have paid Kirk Cousins for those 5 years that we only won 1 playoff game. I guess if we want to make it to the playoffs and lose the first playoff game, Kyler Murray would be a great option for us to do that without progressing our team in any fashion. Sure, we can get Kyler Murray and go to the playoffs and not win a playoff game for another year in a row.
Well, and I don't know if you just saw, but Vikings center Ryan Kelly has announced his retirement from the NFL. So,
yep. There's other centers. Did you said center? There's other centers right now that are free agents that have been released because of their contracts, and so I could see us targeting a guy. I think Lindstrom was one of the centers that was available in this free agency, and so he'd be a high priority for the Vikings to sign if we have the cap space for him.
Yeah, and it's just fixing that line. So whoever's quarterback back there, it does have some time and peace of mind to try to throw this ball, but it'll definitely be interesting. But I mean, what are you going to do at this point? You got to do something for 9.
I've heard a lot of rumors that the Vikings would potentially move Addison also. And wouldn't it be interesting if we ended up trading Addison for really, let's say, a 3rd round pick because of all the shenanigans that he ends up having? There's a little bit of baggage, but only to sign Stephon Diggs. Wouldn't that be something if Stephon Diggs came back to Minnesota with Justin and we just kind of just filled the hole with our finger for a year or two with Stephon Diggs instead of having Addison? I think that'd be interesting.
Could you imagine having 2 divas and Kyler Murray and Stephon Diggs together?
Or Rashid Shaheed is also a free agent. I could see him playing the Addison role on a much cheaper contract also, mind you.
I do like Shaheed. Plus he has the return game upside on his end too. So definitely could be some interesting names, and depending on what they do with Addison here.
One more guy that could fill in as an Addison player, because that's all we want to know is about the Vikings, Colton, is Darnell Mooney was released, and I know he's a guy that you've liked for many years. I've tried trading for him a couple different times in the Wizarding world, and it wasn't meant to be, and certainly didn't work out on on your end when that actually came up as far as trying to trade for him. But Darnell Mooney, he'll have another opportunity with another team outside the Falcons. It's probably the best thing that's going to happen to Darnell Mooney, because the Falcons organization with, like, who's their quarterback, Colton? We don't even know. It could be you. It could be me. I don't know. But Mooney, he's going to be on a different team. He's got 31 other options available to him, and he's also a good guy that can return the ball, so he's a versatile player.
Yeah, this was a surprising one to me because the Falcons don't have anyone really behind London, and Mooney was a good option. I think he was a good wide receiver. When London was out, he made plays in prior years. Didn't do much this year, but they didn't have much
Injured like all season.
But they didn't have
injured all season.
Well, they also didn't have much quarterback play this season. It was just like you kind of moved on from a guy with that gave you production at one point in time, and then your quarterback stopped producing, so he did too. And you're like, let's move on. So I think he'll find a nice home to go and be a wide receiver 2-4, and I'm happy to hang on to him, especially in our best ball league here.
Yep. Last two things. Why don't we talk about the two recent trades that happened over the last day? The first one being David Montgomery is traded to the Texans. And Montgomery, he was traded with a 7th-round pick, only for the Detroit Lions to get a 4th in return for him. So now Sonic and Knuckles are now broken up, that everyone, is kind of talking about. That kind of opens a spot that I think is like an RB2 for the Detroit Lions. And then it's like, well, what is the Texans going to do now with Woody Marks? Well, you got Woody Marks, you got David Montgomery, they had Mixon, keyword had. Mixon, he's been released also. And so what's your thoughts on this trade?
I mean, it makes sense. The Texans didn't have much of a run game. I mean, Woody Marks is not an every down kind of back. He definitely showed some like spark here and there. I was actually trying to move on from him because I saw something like this happen. And unfortunately, I just wasn't able to get anything done before this trade came through because I like Marks. I think this is going to be another 1-2 punch kind of situation. Montgomery's going to handle the kind of 1-2 and then the first and second downs, and then Marks will take over on that third and be that pass catching role. So he'll be the change of pace guy. I was, I saw something like this coming. I just wasn't expecting it to be David Montgomery with how much they loved him there in Detroit, but we saw them move away from him more this season. They were definitely starting to lean on Gibbs, and to talk about Gibbs, my goodness, stock is going through the roof at this point. I mean, it's insane what people are thinking is going to happen, but people aren't thinking. I mean, Tyler Algier could easily sign to the Detroit Lions and kind of take that David Montgomery role and still have the same Gibbs. So if you're paying super top dollar right now for Gibbs, I would be thinking twice, just waiting to see on what kind of happens here in free agency and see what the Lions do, because I think they like having that guy that can take the brunt on that goal line, just to take to not injure Gibbs. And so, if you're trying to pay a ridiculous amount because you think he's going to be super good, which he is, don't get me wrong, but don't be coming in here expecting he'll be the only guy, because I have a feeling that is not true.
The Lions are probably thinking, Antonio Gibson, he's available now. Ooh, Mixon, look at him. He's available for really nothing. They're going to fill that role. They're going to have to protect Gibbs. Yeah. But I did hear, and it's hard to say whether any of this stuff is true when you're hearing social media, but I heard that David Montgomery wanted to leave the Lions because he didn't think that they could take the next step in order to have a Super Bowl run, and he thought that he had a better opportunity to make a run with the Texans.
Huh. Interesting thoughts there.
Yeah. I just thought it was like, wow. I thought they were like, locked in together.
Yeah.
The Lions and not so much.
All right. That's an interesting thing that I've not heard yet. So
then finally, we're going to stay in the NFC North with another trade, and that's DJ Moore and a 5th-round pick to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for a 2nd-round pick that goes to the Bears. I think this trade really helps both teams, in my opinion. I want to hear what you have to say about it. But in the process, I know it's going to throw you through a loop. And I just want you to sit down here, Colton. Just sit down. But Curtis Samuel gets released by the Buffalo Bills after this trade goes through. And I know it's unbelievable that this happened, but such is the league.
I am shocked. I didn't know he was actually still playing, so that was fun information.
I knew he was still in. I knew he's still in the league.
Him and his 300 yards on the season. Yeah,
About as many as Travis Hunter.
Ooh. Wait, did you win your
Travis Hunter won with
Yeah.
Travis Hunter versus Slayton?
Yeah.
Slayton had more yards. That's exactly what I said. Yes.
Hot takes, baby. Go,
Absolutely.
Dustin. Oh, that's incredible. All because of injury, but
hey,
still
Slayton was injured multiple times during the year too, so you can't give me the injury bit.
A win's a win.
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Exactly. Anyways, back to this. This is what happens when you promote a really bad GM, in my opinion. This is what happens. Bean has done it again, and he says, I'm going to go get Josh Allen, a number 1 wide receiver, and then sends a second for DJ Moore. I think he could have gotten him cheaper. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's a bad move, like going to get Moore. I don't hate Moore. I don't think it's like the shiny.
Just don't want some more.
I just want more. Yeah. And I think it was way overpaid. DJ Moore's what, 28, 29 now? Going into
28 and a former second round NFL pick.
Yeah. So I think more could have been done. And I think you could have gotten him cheaper. And they took on a huge contract probably from the Bears there.
I don't know about that yet.
I'm going to have to look into the contract stuff, but they had to have taken on his contract in order for that. And so I think they're just overpaying for someone that's going to be decent, like decently good. But it's just not the big splash I wanted.
Well, and here's the thing that the Bears are going to do too. So it's like, oh, now it kind of opens up the wide receiver 3 position because now Luther Burden's there. You got Odunze, and they don't really have a third wide receiver. What do you think they're going to do that second round pick, Colton?
Darnell Mooney's coming home, man.
Oh, you think Mooney's coming home? Well, that's a possibility. But I was thinking the second round pick, they could go for a wide receiver.
Yes, they can.
You know, it's going to be just kind of a standard wide receiver and whatnot. But I mean, could you see one of these Indiana guys getting drafted in the second round going to the Bears, whether it be Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper? And I got to say, if it's Omar Cooper, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned as a Vikings fan. If it's Surratt, I'll be like, okay, I'm not as much concerned really. But I just feel like the Bears are doing it right. They're getting a young team. They know they're going to have to pay Caleb Williams here sooner than later. And the rest of their players, they can wait on a little bit because everyone else is going into their first year, second year, or rookie season.
Yeah, they're definitely building it the right way. Their GM, I think, is a pretty savvy dude. And he's just wheeling and dealing, man. He's not afraid to get things, and he's getting paid big money too. Like for trading DJ Moore, getting a second round pick back for that guy. That's pretty good, especially with the way they got DJ Moore. By selling that first overall pick, they got a first round, the number 1 for the following year back, and DJ Moore, and so he's definitely making some pretty savvy moves. And
they turned it into a second round pick.
Right, and they turned it right back into a second round pick, which is incredible. Like 3 years later now. So
that's pretty much our show, Colton, unless you have anybody else you want to talk about. I feel like we brought up a lot of players. We talked about a lot of rookies. The combine was exciting. If you're still interested in watching some of those clips of the vertical 40, broad jump, maybe there's a gauntlet in there or two, or a cone drill, like go to Fantasy Holics Facebook page, check them out, leave a like, leave a comment, go to our Twitters, FF Healers, FF Captain 22. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe buttons. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search the Fantasy Football Healers, and then that's pretty much the show there, Colton.
Except for Aaron Jones is expected to be released. Shocked. I'm surprised. Salud. That's how we ended.